Welcome to the Mystic Millionaire podcast, where wealth is energy, success is a mindset, and abundance is your birthright. I am Danielle Amos, your host and mentor, here to help you unlock prosperity, embody confidence, and manifest a life you love. Take a breath, align with your truth, and let's manifest millions. Welcome to the Mystic Millionaire podcast. This is Danielle Amos, and I am your host. Today, I'd like to talk about radical honesty and responsibility. And this episode has been inspired by my time in Austin and recording with some incredible people here in the studio. And I'd like to go deeper in the conversations and bring some of these subjects to you here in the podcast, and then you'll hear me speak about similar subjects with our guests this season of the Mystic Millionaire podcast. So honesty. Now, I was having the conversation with Michelle Sorrow about honesty and what is radical responsibility, which I had a conversation with Haley Bowler Cook on this podcast recently about. And to take radical responsibility, Michelle said, is to be honest, and to be honest with yourself. And there's a quote from Hamlet: "To thine own self be true." Shakespeare's Hamlet. Can you tell I was married to an actor? And live in Stratford, the home of the Stratford Shakespeare Festival. Side note. So what does it look like to be honest with yourself? Well, you're not fooling anyone, and you can't lie to yourself. And to take radical responsibility, I agree with Michelle. It means to be honest with yourself about how you're showing up, why you're doing the things that you're doing, and to bring it back or course correct your actions, your thinking, your feeling, bring it back to truth, your truth with a capital T, who you are really, remembering who you are really, and what we all are, and connected, and the law of oneness, we're all one. So for many years, and perhaps you can relate to this, I was not honest with myself, and I didn't want to admit the truth of how I was acting, what I was experiencing in my life. And in order to deal with this dishonesty, like it was like I couldn't handle the truth. And this was between me and me. It had nothing to do with the other people in my life, although I was continuing to choose my relationships, for example, my marriage, other friendships, because I didn't have the courage to be honest with myself that this wasn't for me for many years. And so how I dealt with that dishonesty was numbing, escaping, numbing in a variety of ways, disassociating from my body, my feelings, hardly being present, being so busy, doing, working, so that I didn't have to be present, numbing with alcohol, and literally escaping my life. And it didn't all have to do with the circumstance. It was escaping myself from myself because I knew I wasn't being honest, and I didn't have the courage to admit that what I was experiencing was not what I wanted, because I had such fear of disappointing other people, and I valued loyalty. And I felt like, and perhaps this is karma, because of a karmic relationship or a karmic agreement that I had with some of these other people, including my husband, that I couldn't feel like I could do anything but be in that relationship. Now, that's not true. We always have a choice. And That's the way it felt. And I'm sharing this with you here on the podcast because the moment I took responsibility and the moment that I became honest with myself, that's when change could happen. And change is always for the better. Change, as Neil Donald Walsh says, is God Godding. And it's always for the better. It's for the growth of humanity, the universe, for me, for you. And the moment I got honest with what was going on inside me, that's when I could change things. And you're not fooling anyone. There's no one out there anyway but you. This is about you and you. This is your journey. And you have this one life that goes by so fast relative to the earth. This one life in this body as we know it. And so why wasn't I being honest? And I shared that like the fear of disappointment, the fear of rejection, the fear of judgment from others. And then I got present to, like, who am I living for anyway? It's my life. And what if every single day could be filled with so much joy and happiness and pleasure? Then what am I doing? Because I had to admit to myself that the day to day numbing and escaping was not pleasurable. It was the opposite. Years were going by. And here's the thing, from the outside, you wouldn't necessarily know it. From maybe earlier days, there became a point in my life where I drew a line in the sand and I really focused on the things that I could quote unquote control, which was my business, my own success, my own mindset, and everything skyrocketed. So from the outside, it looked like everything was incredible. And to be fair, it was in that pocket of my life. But I'm not here for one pocket to be exceptional. I'm not here for one pocket of my life to be incredible and the rest not. And I'm not here for that for you. And so I realized when I got honest with myself, I realized that I had been settling. I had not been living by what I teach, and that is that you can have it all. And I was not being honest with myself about certain relationships, including my marriage, that I was settling and it wasn't at all what I wanted. And the thought of continuing to live the way that I was living, it wasn't possible. There came a point where it was just like, I cannot. And I believe that the way the society is evolving, the way that Earth is evolving, and this new Earth, you can't fake it anymore. Everything that's not working is coming to the light. Everything that's not true and authentic and real is crumbling from systems and governments and policies. The corruption, all of that is being brought to the light because it needs to change. And I believe that that's what's happening on an individual level as well. And in your life, perhaps, there are areas that you are becoming aware and you're willing to be honest with yourself that just aren't working or aren't working as well as what you'd like them to be. And so you may feel like I did, that I couldn't go another day like this. I had to stop it. I had to get out and end, in this case, the marriage. And I knew in my heart that I would know when I was ready and I needed to trust myself. And a big part of that is being completely honest with myself and then others. And I can go on for and talk about all the reasons or what happened for me to come to that realization. I prayed, and I was talking to Michelle about this on her podcast, Michelle Sorrow as well, about she had a moment where she prayed out loud and she received an answer. And we were talking about the power of prayer and the power of prayer out loud and how that speeds things up. And I am a believer in this. I've actually had an experience in this. And this is a great reminder for me to pray out loud. And it might be one for you to do that more often. As Michelle was saying, there's power in our words and getting support from our angels, from God, from the universe, from all of our helpers, and speaking our prayer out loud. So I can give you the details of when I prayed out loud for truth and to be shown truth in my relationship. And I won't do that because I got the answer because of it's very clear because of what's come next and the season that I'm in this divorce. And because I respect and love Paul, I won't share anything more. And really, it's not about that. The wisdom that I gained, which is why I tattooed it to my arm, was from now on, I trust myself above all else. I trust the guidance that I receive. And I'm honest with myself about that guidance. And so if you're listening to this podcast, this might be the wake-up call, the reminder, or perhaps it's the encouragement to look at your own life in all the areas and be honest with yourself. Are there areas that aren't working or not working as well as you like? Are there relationships that aren't serving you and you serving them? Are there times when you are showing up not authentically to prove or push? Be honest. And it doesn't have to be emotional or hard. It can simply be a question and then a new decision based on the answer. And there can be a lot of joy in it as well, and fun, and like lightness. Yeah, if I'm honest, this is what's going on inside. And if I'm honest, this is where the area of my life that's not working as well as I like. And now what? Now what? How am I responding to this honesty, to this revelation, to taking radical responsibility? What's next? And that's a decision. And sometimes that can look like changing behaviors, making new decisions, asking for support, investing in yourself, in tools, in mentorship, in courses, in like what next now that you're honest with yourself. So like I said, this might be the reminder or the invitation for you to be honest with yourself in your own life and to take a look and to make a change and take radical responsibility. If that is for you, I'd love to hear from you and share if you feel called. Tag me in a post and share to inspire others to take radical responsibility and be honest with themselves. Imagine if more of us did this on a continuous basis and we continue to up level and up level and up level into this next version of us, more of the truth of who and what we are, more light. We would inspire others to do the same. And just by our courage, like being honest with ourselves and making a new decision, just through that act would inspire others. And there's a ripple effect of this radical responsibility in changing the areas of your life that aren't working, to have them work. Why? Because you deserve it and you get to have it all. So thank you for being here. Thank you for listening to the Mystic Millionaire podcast. And thank you to all of our subscribers. It feels so good to be back in the studio, to be recording this podcast again. The Prosperity Practice, the old podcast, those episodes are still available. And you can find them here, wherever you listen to the podcast, and find all those old apps. This next phase of Danielle Amos and the Mystic Millionaire is one of truth, of trusting yourself and encouraging you not to settle. So take a moment, be honest, and thank you for being here, and expect abundance.